You're listening to Satyavani,
the voice of the APJ Satya University, India's first liberal arts and meta university.
For further information, please visit our website university.apj.edu/. university.apj.edu/.
Now we present a radio documentary, Only Yes Means Yes for Sex. This program is a joint production between the students of School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the APJ Satya University and Nicholson School of Communication at the University of Central Florida in Orlando, USA. Only Yes Means Yes for Sex.
Hello, my name is Priyanka Mukherjee and I'm a student of Bachelor of Journalism and Mass Communication at the APJ Satya University. December 16, 2012 is a date that changed so many things for millions of girls in India.
What happened that night shook me from inside. The details were so petrifying, not only for me but every girl out there. The nation was in shock. Like, imagine a 23-year-old paramedic student getting raped in a moving bus. So brutally raped by 6 men. What do you think must have happened to that girl? She suffered. She was in shock. And in the end, what? She died in the hospital, struggling for her life.
A 23-year-old girl was fatally gang raped in the capital of our nation. It's sickening to even mention the details. It was brutal. People were out on the streets protesting and there were demonstrations everywhere. I think this was the first time that, maximum number of people came out to show their support for just one girl. Personally, I couldn't sleep for days. It was disgusting.
It was this disgust and outrage that prompted India to look at its record of sexual assaults. Against this backdrop, when the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the APJ Satya University and Nicholson School of Communication at the University of Central Florida decided to forge a partnership. It didn't take much time for the Indian students to suggest a topic for joint programming. Surprisingly, the US students were more than keen to do programs on sexual assaults for their own reasons.
My name is Lily J, and I'm truly honored to be here. Getting into college is hard. Getting your college back, reclaiming it as your own after sexual assault, is nearly impossible. I was raped just a few weeks into my freshman year. I pantomimed learning and watched educational opportunities slip away. The day I found out that the student who had raped me raped someone else, I filed a disciplinary complaint. I joined survivors across the country in announcing our truth. And activism seemed like a promising antidote to the loneliness of surviving assault. But the truth is, it didn't help me reclaim college. Because whether you're thinking about it because you're scared of the boy down the hall, or because you're planning a meeting with the college president, recalling rape always hurts. That's the terrible irony of sexual assault activism. Using your experience to protect others from rape is so empowering and so important, but it also tethers you to your pain.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Please have a seat. Welcome to the White House, everybody. And we're here to talk today about an issue that is a priority for me, and that's ending campus sexual assault. I want to thank all of you who are participating. I particularly want to thank Lily for her wonderful presentation, and Grace. I want to thank her parents for being here. As a father of 2 daughters, I, on the one hand, am enraged about what has happened. On the other hand, am empowered to see such an incredible young woman. And in fact, we're here with Generation Progress to launch, appropriately enough, a campaign called It's on Us. The idea is to fundamentally shift the way we think about sexual assault. So we're inviting colleges and universities to join us in saying we are not tolerating this anymore, not on our campuses, not in our community, not in this country. And the campaign is building on the momentum that's already being generated by college campuses, by the incredible young people around the country who've stepped up and are leading the way. I couldn't be prouder of that.
It was in September 2014. US President Obama and Vice President Biden joined leaders from universities, media companies, the sports world, and grassroots organizations to launch the It's On Us campaign against sexual assault on college campuses. The co-producer of this program, Nicole Blyer, is a senior majoring in journalism at the Nicholson School of Communication at the University of Central Florida in Orlando.
We know the numbers. 1 in 5 of every one of those young women who has dropped off for that first day of school before they finish school will be assaulted. These are the words of United States Vice President Joe Biden. According to a White House study, his words ring true. 1 in 5 women will experience sexual assault during their time in college. In the United States, the Bureau of Justice Statistics reports that between 1995 and 2013, college women experienced an average of about 31,000 cases of sexual assault annually. Of these, about 18,000 were cases of completed or attempted rape.
Nicole and her team members were focused on sexual assaults in schools, colleges, and universities, particularly in the University of Central Florida. While my team studied situation in the national capital of India, Delhi, and its surrounding cities such as Gurgaon and Noida. Here's my co-producer and classmate Eshita Tiwari, a student of Bachelor in Journalism and Mass Communication at the APJ Satta University.
Population of Delhi exceeds 16 million people. Delhi has got one of India's biggest and oldest universities, Delhi University, established in 1922, where about 500,000 students are registered in various educational programs. But before we focus on Delhi, it's important to have a look at the National Crime Records Bureau of India. Bureau says about 25,000 rape cases were reported across India in 2012. However, experts agree that the number of unreported cases of sexual assault is much higher in India.
Rape, molestation, eve-teasing and sexual assaults. What do they mean? Meet Pamela Philippos, one of India's best-known journalists who is presently the director and editor-in-chief of Women's Feature Service.
Bodily integrity is the ability of a woman or man to go about in public without being attacked or assaulted, sexually or otherwise. So this concept is a very important concept to keep in mind when you're talking about attacks of this kind. And bodily integrity is the right of every individual. And therefore, anyone who violates that right to bodily integrity is seen as having committed sexual assault.
Delhi University student Narayani agrees with Pamela Philippos.
Sexual assault doesn't necessarily need to be, rapes or something. It can be very small. It can be a small act of eve teasing. It can be a small act of, just grabbing your butt in the metro. So it does not need to be exactly rape, but just doing something that is not, that is not according to your will. That is sexual assault according to me.
Most agree that sexual assault includes acts of harassment to physical intimidation. Sexual harassment on public transport is an everyday occurrence for millions of girls and women living in some of the world's biggest capitals. From verbal abuse to being followed, from unwanted sexual comments to physical assault, the stories are strikingly similar. Sexual harassment in the American universities has taken a new turn. New studies, surveys, and reports of sexual assaults are being published, highlighting a phenomenal rise. Nicole Blyer from the USA.
The U.S. has taken measures to address these crimes. Federally funded universities are required to report instances of sex offenses due to the Jean Cleary Act. Title IX of the Educational Amendments Act of 1972 requires that federally funded educational institutions have grievance procedures in place to report sexual harassment. Beyond legal measures, the White House recently released the campaign It's On Us. Its goals are to help people recognize assault and intervene when consent hasn't or cannot be given. The campaign has used celebrities and corporate partners such as social media platforms Snapchat and Tumblr, among others, to reach its college demographic.
That was Nicole Blyer. In Delhi, there's a huge lack of authentic reporting in terms of documenting sexual assaults on colleges and universities. However, after the December 2012 rape incident in the capital, terms are being explained and new policies are being implemented. Malvika Kaul, former Delhi University lecturer and now associate professor with the APJ Satya University, explains.
Well, USA and India are two diverse countries. One is a developed, highly developed country, and we have India, which is still in the developing stage. And it's interesting that both are grappling with this issue of increasing sexual assault. So it's also interesting that both have very high ideals for justice. Women's empowerment has been a long history for both the countries. As a teacher, when I look at this issue, I feel that it is not just patriarchy, it is not just the inability of committees or laws to address the issue. I also feel that maybe there is need for dialogue. We cannot treat sexual assault only as a problem of women or issue regarding women. It's also a problem with men or of men. So until and unless we talk to men, until and unless we talk to boys about it, unless there's an open forum where everybody can express what really happens in sexual assault and what can be done about it, I don't think we can really come out of this situation or this crisis.
That was Malvika Kaul. There are 77 colleges affiliated with the Delhi University where about 500,000 students, boys and girls, men and women, study together. Among these institutions is the IP College for Women, the oldest women's college of Delhi, where Dr. Manaswini Yogi has spent more than 25 years as a teacher and senior administrator. She admits that the rate of sexual assaults among fellow students is very low in comparison to the US colleges, but incidents of sexual harassment are on the rise.
During the election of the Students' Union, Delhi University, there was a procession of some particular group. So she was in a rickshaw. She got stuck in that procession and she was sitting in the rickshaw and she was molested. See, if you're sitting in a rickshaw and procession on both sides of your rickshaw are with these boys and they're touching you or pricking you from here and there, what can you do? That is molestation, na? Because they know that she cannot even jump the rickshaw, because if she jumps, they are there. She has to jump in between them. The rickshaw cannot run because there's no space because of the procession. Fingering her, literally, along with vulgar commands, is molestation.
The level of awareness among students has also gone up. The incident narrated by Dr. Yogi became a big issue in the university. The victim became an activist.
I think she got a lot of strength because the college stood by her classmates stood by her, and her mother only came, and she had another daughter, and she said to the VC in the VC meeting, "Please, sir, stop this. I don't want my second child to go through this." This was her sentence. The second child represented all girls. So she meant that nobody else should at least go through it. My elder daughter has. But she was brave, and I think she never missed. She was coming to college, she did all her work, she got over it. But I think that strength she got because we all supported her. And we didn't say, "Oh, you were molested." So we didn't make a hue and cry about it.
Dr. Manaswini Yogi of Delhi University. In addition to Delhi University, there are hundreds of other colleges, known as private colleges in Delhi and around. Their record of tracking sexual assault is no better than Delhi University. The stand taken by the US President in highlighting the sexual assaults on the American campuses has also led to a debate in India. In April 2015, one of India's daily newspapers, The Mint, published a story by its correspondent Namita Bhandare entitled "Spotlight on Sexual Assault in US Colleges." Here's an excerpt from the paper read by Millie Agarwal.
An estimated 135,000 Indian students are at present enrolled in various American colleges and universities. A third of them, or about 45,000, are women. According to the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement of the Department of Homeland Security, these students comprise the second largest foreign student body in America after China. Indian enrollment was up by 28% in 2014. In India, for instance, reported rape cases registered an increase of 35% in just a year from 2012 to 13, reflecting a greater willingness of survivors to come forward and register complaints after the widespread protests that followed the Delhi gang rape case in December 2012.
The US administration has recently created a rape prevention task force to work with colleges and universities and help them develop best practices for preventing and responding to sexual assault. As part of this effort, the University of Central Florida's Counseling and Psychological Services Department held a presentation for students in March 2015 entitled "Only Yes Means Yes for Sex." Stephanie Jarvis, Information Specialist at UCF's India Center in Orlando, was involved in this exercise.
Statistically, a rape happens every 30 minutes in India. But the thing is the conviction rate is, I think, like 25%. So these men might be being brought in, but the conviction rate is so low, there's not, that 75% of men that aren't convicted, it's kind of showing that you probably get away with it.
Stephanie Jarvis from the UCF. Sexual assault, as we have discussed, is an umbrella term that includes physical acts of a sexual nature that take place without a person's consent. Sexual assault includes touching, penetration by an object, and sexual intercourse. During our investigation, most students in Delhi and neighboring areas talked of sexual assaults involving passing sexist comment, inappropriate touching, groping, harassing, making obscene calls, circulating personal pictures and videos without consent, getting physical on pretext, assuming that the girl is agreeable, stalking and making obscene gestures.
I was traveling in a local bus with my dad, but the bus was very crowded and my dad, he just found a place for me to sit. He was standing quite behind, as in the bus. There was this guy, must be somewhere in his 30s or something. He was sitting next to me. All of a sudden, I just started feeling that something is going over on my leg, and it was like when I just noticed it, he was feeling my leg with his. He took off his shoes with his feet. He started feeling my leg, and when I noticed that, I tried and move myself. But then he stopped for a while because he got to know that I've noticed it. And then after some time, after like 5-7 minutes, when it was all normal, again he started doing the same thing. I could not really help that. I was trying and searching for my dad, but then I could not find him. He was quite far back in the bus. And after some time, when I just started giving him nasty looks. So he stopped for a while. But then after some time, he started doing it all the more. He started with his hands, he started feeling my waist. And I just got so scared and so disgusted. I just felt like running out of that place, just going away, but I could not really help much. I screamed for my dad, and that's how he got a little scared, and he just, he stood up from the seat and he went off.
This was a young student from Delhi who would like to remain anonymous. During our investigation, it emerged that colleges in and around Delhi are not reporting sexual assaults of a very serious nature as rape in large numbers. In fact, this number is very low as compared to our partner, University of Central Florida. Experts agree that the number of reporting cases of sexual assaults on campuses will sharply rise once awareness is created and proper mechanisms to address them are in place. This is what they felt at the UCF. Nicole Blyer.
These social movements are necessary to stir up a discussion that no one wants to have. At UCF, Counseling and Psychological Services held a forum to discuss campus sexual assault. No one attended. In order to facilitate these conversations, popular culture movements are needed. If you are a victim of sexual assault, you may feel shamed for that. Even though it's not your fault, you may still feel like someone will judge you for it. Victim blaming is a universal concept.
Indeed, blaming the victim is a universal concept. The BBC broadcast a documentary film, India's Daughter, by Leslie Udwin, featuring an interview with a young man facing the death penalty over the 2012 rape and murder of a student on a bus in Delhi. In the interview, he appears to show no remorse and kept expressing bewilderment that such a fuss was being made about this rape when everyone was at it. Coming back to the issue of creating awareness, Courtney Gill Martin, Public Information Officer for UCF Police, says it's time for ordinary people to intervene.
Bystander intervention is huge. I mean, like I said, we know that so many of these scenarios involve people who know each other and alcohol. People who know each other and alcohol, normally those situations also involve other people. So there are other people who are there who could step in.
That was Courtney Gill Martin. Advocate of Victim Services at UCF, Christine Mouton, supports the idea of intervention.
Bystander intervention is becoming a really important topic in terms of sexual assault prevention awareness, at least here in the United States. But I think it's a protocol that can be adapted worldwide, including in India. It takes a little bit of education, but every person has the opportunity to intervene in situations that they see as being inappropriate. So whether it's arguments, interpersonal violence type situations, dating, domestic violence, or actions that potentially will lead to sexual assault and sexual violence, that as individuals we have a responsibility to inform ourselves of what we are comfortable doing in terms of intervention. So could we distract a person from their train of behavior or their path of behavior? Are we willing to step in and be very direct with them and call them out and say their current behavior is inappropriate? Or do we want to delegate that to another authority and bring them into the situation depending on the seriousness?
That was Advocate of Victim Services at UCF, Christine Mouton. In India, observers agree with the UCF suggestion of intervention. A prominent NGO, Jagori, launched a study, Safe City Free of Violence Against Women and Girls initiative. The goal of the initiative was to have cities where women and girls are able to move around freely without the fear of harassment and violence at all times and enjoy what the city has to offer. Veteran journalist Pamela Philippos explains.
The Jagori baseline report of 2010, what did it say? It said that one of the greatest safety factors for women are ordinary people on the street. We know that it is safer for women to be in a crowded area than in a lonely area. So what the Jagori report highlighted was that if there are people there, what they call eyes on the street, then the possibility of attack is greatly diminished.
Christine Mouton from the University of Central Florida supports intervention but advises caution.
No bystander should ever put themselves in a dangerous situation. So if you're an observer on the outside, you can call for reinforcements. You can call somebody else to come in and be that power or authority to take control of the situation. But if it's in a social setting, you may be able to find a friend of that person and say, this person is acting inappropriately and his behavior or their behavior needs to end.
In India, reacting to the massive protests that followed the fatal gang rape of a student in Delhi last December, the government set up a panel headed by a retired judge to recommend legal reform and other ways to reduce sexual violence. The Justice Verma Committee received 80,000 recommendations, held wide consultations, and referred to laws and research from around the world. Its report gave many women the audacity to hope that freedom from violence and constitutional equality would be reclaimed by and for women. But in the end, new laws would not be needed. if the society listens to these young students.
Listen to me, please, what I say. A no is a no. And now, listen to me carefully. Only yes means yes for sex. Got it?
Physical intimidation is like the first and the last resort of a chauvinist. A guy cannot force himself on a girl to win her heart. You should love her, you should respect her, you should care about her, and if she understands that, she will love you back, guys. I mean, that's what you should do, make her understand, not force yourself on a girl. And that's my experience, and that is what I want to say.
The choice is yours, mate. Yes or no. If you behave well, I can say yes.
Only yes means yes for sex. You were listening to this radio documentary. This program was a joint production between the students of School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the APJ Satya University, Gurgaon, India, and Nicholson School of Communication at the University of Central Florida in Orlando, USA. The program was produced by Ashita Tiwari, Nicole Blair, and Priyanka Mukherjee, who also presented the program. Assistance in production came from Umesh Chandrapati and Bhupesh Shrivastava.
You're listening to Satyavani,
The voice of the APJ Satya University, India's first liberal arts and meta university.
For further information, please visit our website university.apj.edu/. university.apj.edu/.